The rain had stopped and the skies were blue. And oh, what a revelation to see. Someone was saying, I love you to me. A one in a million chance of a lifetime. And life showed compassion and sent to me a stroke of love called you. A one in a million you. I was a lonely man with empty arms to fill. Then I found a piece of happiness to call my own. And life is worth living again. For to love you to me is to live. Oh, one in a million chance of a lifetime. And life showed compassion and sent to me a stroke of love called you. A one in a million you.
Hello all and welcome to the Phil Taylor Jones Show. This is the Exec, as my brother would call me, with another special edition that's basically focusing on my brother. What kind of person he was to me and to other people. Thank yous that I may have missed on the previous show. And the like. So thanks for joining us. I guess I'll have to start saying I'm your host, Chris Newman. And let's get started on the show. So for those of you that don't know, my brother passed away on the 16th of this month. Unfortunately, it's been so terrible for me to go through this. It's only been, I believe, 10 days since it happened, and he was in my life for 12 whole years. As I said in the previous show, my blood family, which is now my ex-family, were very toxic to me, were terrible to me, and were making my life miserable. And it was found out through my brother and I, but the decision was all mine, even though he at least suggested the decision was all mine to just get them out of my life. If people are too toxic for you and they're ruining your life, you can't have them in your life. And he helped me, he opened my eyes to that. So on to the main subject of my brother, the kind of person he was. He was the kind of person that would give you the shirt off his back and then try to give you his socks and his shoes afterwards. He was always doing his best to help other people, and that bring him some kind of happiness to some extent and some kind of satisfaction. As I said before, he lived a majority of his life in Detroit, Michigan, and under the location in Michigan. Born in May 27, 1958. And moved to Los Angeles about 40 some odd years ago. And again, I'm bad at the dates and he's excellent with them, but I can't really ask him. So to start off, I've already mentioned some things he's done for me when I first met him on the previous show. If you can watch it, that would be getting that phone line going when I had a Go plan. Sending me some video games from PlayStation that weren't working, and actually keeping his promise to come see me, taking me away from my crazy family at the time for a little while at the Santa Monica Pier. So this person, was always helping other people. I'll go through a couple of experiences that he shared with me just to show you how big his heart was for other people. I guess I'll start with he was teaching, and there were some kids that I guess for some reason he was visiting their house or something like that. There's 4 of them. Oops, see, I kind of went the computer there. There was 4 of them. I don't really remember the names. The only one I remember is Jeff right now. And the Child Protective Services came and wanted to split them up because the mother was out partying, trying to find a man, and the father was basically non-existent. So he happened to be there luckily at the time and didn't want to see the family split up. So he told the worker that, I have a job. In fact, I work with the school. I know how to cook, and I can live here and take care of these kids so they don't get separated. Is that okay? And they said, well, if that's everything you say is true, that's just fine, and thank you. We don't want the kids to be split up. So for about a year or so, I believe, that's what he did. He cooked big meals. He spent a lot of his money, all of his money, to make sure those kids had a good home, that they were well behaved and kept the house clean and everything. And he was basically family to them for that whole year to half a year. I forget how long it was. So that's a lot of love, devotion, and dedication to make sure that a family, doesn't get split apart. That shows you how big someone's heart is. And to kind of continue the story with the theme that I had earlier and didn't really espouse on, that the people he was kind to either stabbed him in the back or forgot that he existed. When the mother did finally come back, there was 2 that took his side, and the other 2 took her side because she would let them do anything. They could keep the house dirty and do what they wanted. So this Jeff one was the closest one. He was like a little brother to him. He had the propensity to adopt other people's family, obviously me for the past 12 years. And they did everything together. He bought him some rollerblades as a gift. He was actually on an episode of Hill Hauser, visiting with Hill Hauser. It was the one, I think it's Rededication of Angel's Flight. I actually got that for him as a gift because he was with the video of Hill Hauser with him. And they went to the beach together, went shopping together. They did a lot of stuff as family. So that being said, one time after he had to leave and mother took back over, he happened to see him and his new girlfriend or potential wife or whatever it was on the bus. And they made eye contact upon him entering the bus. And then he looked away as if he didn't want to have his girlfriend recognize that my brother even knew him. I don't know if he was being racist, which I believe he was because he was black, You never know what's going through people's minds. And so my brother couldn't help but just go to the back of the bus crying. Felt like his heart was broken. It was all that love he gave towards him, and he just got shunned just like that, So he saw him a second time on the bus. This time he was in the bus first, my brother at the back, and he came in trying to talk to him, and he cut him off. He said, "No, you go away from me. You don't want to talk anymore. You go talk to your girlfriend because you just basically shun me like you didn't even know me after everything we've been through together. Don't even talk to me. Go away." And he sent him off crying and never saw him since. Well, I think he saw him again, but he didn't talk to him. So that's one of the examples. And another one was basically his teaching. He was working with the Los Angeles Unified School District for a good 28 to 30 years or so. And there's some awards that he has up on the wall. One of them was posted in the day before yesterday's video. And these 2, I'll have to take some new screenshots and post them on the end of the video, or maybe the beginning. He basically, the one was the award from the city of Los Angeles, which doesn't come lightly and doesn't come easily. And that one was posted in the previous show. There's two others. That one was custom made. Thanked him for over 10,000. I reiterate, 10,000 hours volunteer, just helping the kids. You know, he put his life and his dedication to make other people's lives better. And that's the kind of person that he was. You know, he was there for me, and now I'm continuing on to who he was for me. You know, for the past 12 years, he was the best thing that ever happened to me. You know, like I said, he saved me from a family of strife, took me under his wing and took care of me, showed me what true dedication, unconditional love, and caring, what family was supposed to really be like. So he means a lot to me. He will always be deep down in my heart, and will never forget him. I'll never be able to thank him enough for everything that he's done for me, everything he's taught me, everything he showed me, everything he's kind of fed to me. He was the best chef, like I said. So, one of the viewers, and I have to actually look that up because I'm somewhat unprepared, which I'm willing to admit. I'm human. I'll admit my mistakes. But one of the viewers requested the reason for the circumstances, if it wasn't too painful for me. Well, it is, but because you requested it, I'm going to respect your request as a viewer and actually get to that. Just give me a few moments to get this person's name, to give them credits for the comment. And it was a very nice comment. I need to put some more thanks, as I said at the beginning of the video, and I want to thank, just a moment, Pheemer, Pheemer, him and his wife. They made a very lovely comment. Say, we are in shock and obviously saddened by this news. My wife and I had grown to love Phil through his videos and were wondering what had become of him recently. His love for you was undeniable and shown through everything he did. Could you explain the circumstances, or is it too painful? He was, is, and forever will be missed. Thank you, Phil. Well, thank you, Pheemer, and your wife, for your kind words. It is extremely painful. And this kind of dovetails into him helping people and getting the crap into this stick, excuse that language. He basically died because of stress. Stress can kill you quicker than anything in the drugstore. And that's what took him out. About a year ago, he started getting really weak and his energy was just draining, and we couldn't do anything to get it back. We tried different supplements and nothing seemed to do the job. And then about on October the 4th is when he started having stomach problems and had to, you know, as they say on TV, retched. He kind of had to throw up about 6 times, so something was wrong with his gut for some reason. He couldn't take any food except for maybe just liquids only, and maybe some soups, you know, a couple of noodle soups. So he also had some right knee pain that just wouldn't go away. We had to have pain medication for it. And, you know, I might be getting into too much details, and I'm not sure what he would want me to say and not want to say, but I'm sure that if the viewer asked to know what happened, he would want them to know what happened. So he also had lower left quadrant stomach pain, which was kidney. And once we went to the hospital, found out that he had a kidney stone that had passed. That infected and irritated the kidney, which in turn infected the urinary tract, which subsequently affected the entire blood system, infected and affected the entire blood system, into giving him a term that's called sepsis, S-E-P-S-I-S. And if you look that up, that's a life-threatening condition. Obviously, some people can't fight it, and that's what happened. So along with that comes the symptoms of low blood pressure, which he had a history of hypertension, which kind of counteracted it, which was good because not having enough blood pressure doesn't give enough blood to the different organs, and he would have suffered a lot more if that symptom of low blood pressure just took over in full effect. So, because of the hospital systems, I believe, just like our grandmother, which I'll get to later, didn't let him stay long enough. That's one of the reasons he's not here with us, minus the stress was just continual and ever present. But when Obamacare started, about 5 years ago, that's when one of the nurses at the local hospital told us, when you had Medi-Cal and Medicare, that was gold. You could stay there as long as they want. They didn't try to kick you out after a week, and now they've started doing that. So he couldn't walk very well on his knee. He had to use a walker with the pain I told you about. And he was still not feeling well. They were talking about his blood sugar is good, his blood pressure is good because of symptom of sepsis. His high blood sugar, unregulated blood sugar. He has never been a diabetic his whole life, because I found out by asking one of the nurses, if you are diabetic, you can't have like no food or just a bag of chips, which you would be so busy working sometimes all you would have is a bag of chips and a bottle of apple juice, or just one big meal at nighttime. They said no, that's not possible. You would get the shakes, you would pass out, you would get the sweats. And so this was just a symptom of it, and they kept pushing that he had diabetes. One hospital gave him both types of diabetes, both with hyperglycemia and the other condition that comes with the other type diabetes. And the other hospital gave him one, so they kicked him out within a week. Had a PICC line in his bicep. It's I think it's a pectoral intravenous cardiovascular something that goes basically aligned to the heart. It was necessary because this was a blood infection to get the antibiotics into his bloodstream. And so we had a home health person at home administering the medicine, and they were doing lab tests to see how his blood work was going and how the infection was going. And they called me and told me that his blood count was too low. It's normally supposed to be around 15, and his was at 8 at the hospital, and now had gotten down to 4, and it was critical. He needed a blood transfusion, which he was totally against. He didn't want anyone else's blood in his system. You don't know what you can get, if it could be an STD or some kind of disease, cancer, and the only person he would feel comfortable with accepting blood from would be me, knowing that I've been a clean person all my life and I don't have any diseases. The only problem with that is he was the universal blood type, O negative, which you can donate O negative blood to anybody. And another thing about that is hospitals are always clamoring to get that because they're always low. It's a very rare blood type. There's only 18% of citizens in the world that have it. So I'm not sure if they were just trying to get their supply of blood, and I won't put it past them, or if it just they really did need to test that many tests, but they were taking 4 to 5 blood samples every day, and he already was low on blood count, and that didn't help. So once we got him back, they were claiming he needed a blood transfusion. He wouldn't do that. I looked up stuff online, and I have the second rarest blood type in the world, AB negative, with O factor or something, RH factor negative or something like that. And the reason that's rare is because the plasma of my blood type is universal as far as plasma is concerned, so I was thinking that I could give him my plasma. Anyways, they came to the hospital claiming that it wasn't as bad as they thought it was, but later on found out that his potassium was very high, his white blood count was high, and his red blood count, hemoglobin, was low. So we actually had to push them about doing something about that, so they gave us some liquid iron supplement, and only gave about 2 of those. He said he started feeling better after those, but then they stopped giving it to him. They claimed it was very expensive. So anyways, this time around, because of the stupid insurance having us go 15 miles out of our way, I don't know why they had us set up with a place in the valley when we live in Los Angeles. But the second time around, we had to go there, and we're there for the magic number of 7 days yet again, because of this stupid Obamacare and everything, messing up the medical profession. Some of them claimed it wasn't that, but I believe it was, because I know in my heart a few things that are not really worth mentioning right now, but kind of prove it in my eye and in his eye. So again, he's not well enough. They're claiming his numbers are good, but he's still not feeling well. He walks in the walker a few times to go to the restroom, and that's good enough for them. They try to kick him out. They say that you can appeal it, but who, as he said and as I said, who wants to be somewhere you're not wanted? You know, it's going to be forced, and they're not going to treat him properly. I can't be awake 24/7, you know, when he's sleeping to see what they're doing to him. And he was already tired of the hospital. It was not feeding him enough because of a carbohydrate restricted diet because of the alleged diabetes. So he came home. And all this time, since it started in October 4th, he had anemia, low blood count. And he was cold all the time. He wasn't that kind of person. And as you can see, I have no sleeves, and he was the same too. He didn't get cold very easy, and we both got hot very easy. And I knew something was wrong. When he was getting cold so easy, I would have a big comforter, a big thick comforter, double folded over and on him, and I have to actually put my head on his chest, because that's where the core of the body is. If the core isn't warm, the extremities won't get warm. I had to put my head on his chest until he would stop shivering, and he told me that his heart felt like it was jumping harder than normal, and I remembered, among all the other things that was wrong on the diagnosis list, there was congestive heart failure. That's why they should not have let him leave the hospital beforehand. If he stayed longer and got more iron supplements, maybe we could have fought this off. He didn't want to go through dialysis. That was too much craziness. He didn't want to do that. They didn't offer it either. But when he did tell me that was happening, I put my head on his chest and noticed that it was jumping a little harder than usual for a while, and then it went away. So I was laying down one morning, sleeping, and woke up when he woke up, and he had to go to the restroom. As he would say, this here, like Archie Bunker. And sometimes when you do that, you have to strain, you know, not to get too personal. But because he was so weak, and the blood count was so low, he was going through too much strain, and I heard a bam in the bathroom, a blam. So I rushed up and asked, are you okay? What's the matter? What's the matter? And he said not to come in. He was indisposed, and then he covered himself up. And he told me he didn't know how he got there. And so obviously this straining he had to do was too much for his heart and his body, and he passed out. So this is going to get difficult for me soon. So he wanted to try to get up. He didn't want to lay down there forever. You know, he asked me, did I call the ambulance? I said, no, did you want me to? Because I've seen him fall down before, and he'd gotten back up just fine. That's why I didn't call right away. Maybe I should have, and everybody that's been supportive has told me not to second guess myself. There's nothing else I could have done. He was just too sick. So he turns over to try to get up and grabs on something, tries to pull himself up. He's too weak. He has to go back down. His head's at a bad angle because it's against the wall, like that. And he tells me his neck feels like it's going to break, so he tries again to reach up and pull up and get up, and I help him, and it doesn't work, so he's back down again and against the wall. And I remembered what he said about his neck feeling like it was going to break. I wanted to make him as comfortable as I possibly could. So I kind of pulled him up by his arms and was holding him up by his wrists, and he wasn't trying to work with me. He was still too exhausted, so I slowly eased him back down so he wouldn't hit his head. And then a few moments later, his eyes went as big as saucers. I've never seen his eyes that big before. And that's when he was having a massive heart attack, as I found out later in the hospital. And right in front of me, he stopped breathing, and I was like scared. I didn't know what to do. I'd never seen that before. And I was kind of, patting him on the face and say, "What's the matter? Why are your eyes so wide? What's the matter?" And that's when he stopped breathing. And then I started crying, and I said, "Don't you die on me, brother. Don't you die on me." And through some kind of strength and will of him hearing those cries from me and his love for me, wanting to stay with me as long as he could. He wanted to stay with me much longer than this. This was too early. He was 58, not 85. This kind of stuff should happen to you when you're near the end of your life cycle, not the middle. He got his breath and started, gasping for air and started breathing kind of normally, even though his exhaling was strong. So I called the ambulance, and they came and had to kind of pull him through some kind of device, up to the gurney. And his leg was hurting, as I said, constantly, but when I moved it to try to get out of the bathroom, because it was small and I had to kind of squinch in between the door, he didn't say anything, like he didn't even realize there was pain or anything like that. So when they got him on the gurney, he kind of moaned, and everybody was saying, oh, he's awake now. So earlier, as I told you, he didn't want to be back in the hospital. He was tired of them, so the best I could come up with, trying to take care of him the best way I could, was holding his hand and telling him, I'm sorry. I called the ambulance, you stopped breathing, I had no choice, I'm sorry. And then everything was so rushed, I didn't get to say, I love you, everything's going to be okay. I went into the other room to get my shorts and stuff on, because I had, real raggedy stuff. I like to be raggedy at home. And they had already started getting him out the door. It was too late for me to go back and say anything else to him. So they didn't even let me be in the same area in the ambulance as him. And I had to be in front, and I couldn't really argue with him because his life was at stake. And that really bothered me, but I had no choice. So when we got to the hospital, I knew something was wrong when they told me to get out of the waiting room and come sit in a chair in the emergency room. And they told me that on the way in, his heart stopped, and that's when I started crying. And she said she had to go check on him. And I said, can I be there? And she said, well, not right now, It's raining outside. I would probably be in the way. And so she came back again. Well, before that, she told me they had the best cardiologists, specialists right now, so they're trying to do their best, don't worry. And I couldn't help but worry, this is my brother, this is all I've had for the past 12 years. And so she came back again telling me that they had shocked him twice and he's still not responding. I said, can I be there with my brother? And she said, not, or at least can I be there at the last moment, if it's seeming like it's not going to work. And she said, yes, I'll get back to you. And she left. No less than 30 seconds later, she came back and I was still crying, and she said, come with me. And so I really started tearing up, and then I saw the doctor there, and he put his hand on my arm and said, I'm so sorry, Chris. And he asked, did I want to hold his hand? So I went over to hold his hand, and that wasn't good enough for me, just holding his hand, although that's a comforting thing. I had to go there and hug him, put my head in his chest like I did so many times before, trying to keep him warm, or before he was sick, just hugging him. And I saw his eyes, and they were just motionless and staring off into space. I knew he was already gone. I just hope that in his passing moments, he somehow was able to see me hugging him and grieving for him and everything, but it was the most worst thing I could go through in my entire life. He was the best thing that ever happened to me, and the worst thing that ever happened to me could and did and is happening to me right now. So it was very terrible to see him, his chest not moving, and I told the people that were giving him CPR after they stopped, is there anything else you can do? I can't let my brother die. And so we tried the best we could. We shocked him twice. We're so sorry. And so they had got me a chair because I was kind of collapsing and just hanging onto the rails with grief. And they asked, did I want a chaplain? And the chaplain was very supportive. I told him I'm not religious. Both him and I weren't religious. We couldn't wrap our heads around that. The difference between supposedly the earth being created millions of years ago and dinosaurs being here billions of years ago, but that's another story. So he was very supportive and respected my wishes and didn't mention anything religious, and tried to help me tell me what was going to be going on. And then even got a caseworker that came by and was giving me comforting words too. I appreciate both of them. They were very stellar and very supportive. Stellar customer service. So they asked me, did I want to be present for when they had to zip him up in the body bag, and they said some families can't handle it, and I said, well, I know I can't, but I've been with my brother all this time, and I'm not going to leave him. I'm going to be by his side until the end. And that's when they wanted to zip him up, so I went in there and hugged him one last time, and they kind of almost covered me up with him. They had to wait, and I felt the little sheet kind of buckle on my shoulder. And I told them, goodbye, I'm the best brother that ever happened to me. I'll always never forget you. I'll love you for everything you did to me. And then I let him zip him up, and I guess I'm going into too many details. You just wanted to know the circumstances, but I feel better to talk about it. And if I've been saying too much, brother, then my apologies, because I know you're out there watching for me. But I cried and everything, asked if I was okay, and I shook my head, and the chaplain played this song. I'm not sure if I'll just link it or if I'll put it in the show, but I think I'll put it in the show. There might be copyright issues. But the song that spoke to me was Larry Graham, 1 in a Million You. And the words that spoke to me were 1 in a million, chance of a lifetime, life had compassion and a stroke of luck, and gave life had compassion and gave to me a stroke of luck, called you 1 in a million you. It's actually love, not luck, but the way we met, was totally off chance, Fate must have known that we needed each other. I had a crappy family. He was all by himself. Our grandmother didn't want him to be alone, and that wish was fulfilled, and he was calling the lottery checker for California State Lottery, and I was calling the chat line, and we connected there and instantly connected like we had known each other all our lives and everything. So that's why that song, it felt to me like it was a 1 in a million chance of a lifetime that we met. So, it's kind of chilly in here. So he played that song on his phone, and it made me cry, and I told him after I heard enough of it that that's enough, I can't hear it anymore. And they said, we have to take him to the morgue now. Do you want to just get a taxi home? I said, no, I have to be with my brother until the very last moment. If I can't go into the doors where it's located, they said, no, you can't. Well, then let me at least go all the way to there. So I played his last song, his favorite New Age artist, Patrick O'Hearn. The song is called Sacred Heart, and I think I'll put that at the end of the video, and hopefully that everything will be fine with copyrights. But I told him, this is for you, brother, your favorite New Age song for the very last time. Thank you for everything. And I played it and cried and I patted him on the head for the last time before he took him away. And that's basically the circumstances. Too much stress. That's the answer to your question. Fear. That's the answer to your question. Stress, basically, got rid of him. There was just too much stress. The economy was just crazy, or basically non-existent, as I used to say. Stuff was really hard to afford. We had to do certain things that we shouldn't have to do in order to have money. Nothing, illegal. We just had to, take out loans and different things like that. And having the car we had, he made a video about that a while back. Having a car for 3 years, finally, after all the time for not having a car and having an accident that almost could have taken him out. If it wasn't for an SUV being big and being able to take the brunt of the hit and him stopping where he did, the car would have slammed into him on the door side, and he probably would have lost my brother a lot sooner. And anyways, he never got over that, because every time the month would come to the end and I would have to go out by myself, he would be mad and everything. And he finally got a little bit more used to it, but never got over it. That was a stressor in and of itself all the time. So all these different things combined, not being able to have a dog in the apartment, a puppy or something that we wanted to be part of the family, the rent being increasing and switching the electrics over to us, everything was crowding up on him. The stress gave him a kidney stone. I looked it up, and there has been research that it's possible to get a kidney stone through stressors. there was like 1,200 different stressful incidents 2 years prior to someone getting a kidney stone in a blind study, and those people had kidney stones and were going through a lot of stress. So stress took him out. And because of some of the situations I described where he tried to help people and they weren't there for him, you know, he didn't achieve any kind of happiness, like slap your belly, kick up your heels, and enjoy the barbecue, as he would say, happiness. So, you know, there was other incidents I could describe, you know, that would further detail that, and I guess I'll just go for one. It was very terrible for him to go through, to go through not being able to get any help from the same person, his half-sister. And I don't know if I'm doing the wrong thing by putting the business on the street here, but I feel it's necessary to honor him, to let people know what happened. So I don't know if I'm doing the wrong thing here, but I'll just mention it. And if this person hears this video, then you'll know why you're not being spoken to anymore, why you've been estranged to him. His half-sister worked with him at the school, teaching the kids. And she came in one day crying and saying the government had garnished her wages, their entire check was gone, and it was Thanksgiving or maybe Christmas. I think it was Christmas. And she didn't have any diapers, the rent was past due, and she couldn't do anything, and she was going to basically be on the street if it wasn't for my brother going to the bank and getting out as much money as he could at the time, giving her 90% of it, paying all of her bills off. Her car note, her phone bill, her rent, everything you can think of, and then, you know, only taking a little bit for himself, getting the baby diapers, getting presents, and all the supplies he needed. You know, he didn't have to do that, but that's what family does. And knowing that he did that for her, and then later when we needed something, he called her and got in contact with her and told her we needed some kind of help, we were low on money. She said, I checked the numbers, Phil, and I can't do anything. You know, what a slap in the face to what he did for her. Not even a can of soup for each of us, you know, nothing. So that's the things I was talking about, you know, because of that, because of the way his mother treated him so terribly, she was never happy with our grandmother, who was more of a mother to him / best friend to him than she was. She was always fighting over having him, and she treated him terribly his whole life. He, as you can see, had some kind of issues or problems, and he was always trying to make other people happy, but he was never happy himself. He always said there was something missing. And the whole hurtful thing about this to me, besides the image of his eyes going as big as saucers and just thinking what's going through his mind, knowing he didn't want to leave me, is the fact that he led his whole life trying to make others happy and never achieved true happiness himself. We wanted to be somewhere else. He wanted to take us to Santorini, Greece. I'll put some pictures of that location up on there, and I did in the previous show, but he wanted us to be somewhere where we could be happy, have a puppy, and live out a happy life with his brother, and he couldn't do that. So to answer your question, that's the circumstances, and I basically said what kind of person he is, and wanted to say a little bit more about our grandmother, Priscilla E. Thomas, 1917 to 1994, February 22nd born, if I did get this right, and April, I think I wrote it down somewhere, no, it's gone, but it's on the previous show, and I'm so distraught that I don't remember the specifics again. Well, she was born April 22nd, 1917, and died, I believe, February 7th, 1994. But to him, he was her best friend, and greatest advocate, confidant, just like I was to him. And we and I owe a lot to her for being such a wonderful person. She was the best thing that ever happened to him as well, and he lost her 14 years ago, and he also never got over it. They say time heals all wounds, but I don't believe that's true. Time just makes it easier to deal with the wounds. It doesn't heal anything, especially when you're that close like my brother is. I don't think I'll be any better the same 14 years from now than he was before he died, you know. But the good thing about it is he's not suffering anymore, is not in constant pain, is not through any constant stress, and he's with his grandmother now. Excuse me for a moment. And she was just wonderful. She would always make everybody welcome at home. She would cook for everybody, that came for Christmas parties and everything, and taught him the ways of the world. But instead of just simply telling him you can't do that and not telling him why, she would actually show him, why not to go somewhere. She would take him to the bad places. She would take him to, the street corners and say, see that lady over there? She has many names. That's a lady of the night, a whore, a hooker, Stay away from those kind of women. They sell their body for sex, He would take him to the crack houses or whatever the places would be where the people would be shaking, and they'd say, what's wrong with that guy? That person does drugs. Stay away from him. You don't want to be doing that. So she was a mother to him more than his mother ever was, and taught him the ways of the world, protected him, cared for him, loved him. Was very wise, had a lot of wise sayings. You investigate before you invest, and nothing cheap ain't no damn good, and then nothing good ain't cheap, and different wise sayings. She was very wise and helpful, and was the best thing ever happened to him. So I owe a lot more to her through what he told me about her. That sculpted him into the man that he was, and through his teachings through me, from her towards me, telling me about her and everything. We became better people and everything. And Priscilla Thomas, or Nan or Nani, as we called her, or his catfish, was a nickname for her. We love you very much, and we're a very big part of our lives as well. And the big thank you goes to you, as well as a thank you. Just a moment here. As well as a thank you to my brother for everything he's ever done for me. So now I've said about as much as I can say. To continue on now with the thank yous that I missed from before. I'll start off with Carrie Reardon and family in New South Wales, Australia, Broken Hill, who have basically been like family to me, like a sister. She's been very supportive before this happened with my brother and I, showed true love for us. And after this happened, I talked with her yesterday on Google Hangout, voice call, video call, and she gave me very comforting words and said that he's always going to be here for us. He'll never be forgotten. And for all of your love for him when he was alive and when he's not alive, I thank you for that. And I wanted to officially put a thank you out there. You said it wasn't necessary, but to me, it's necessary to thank everybody that has been as supportive of me through this difficult time in my life. And he would be thankful as well. I'll just put that out there first for anybody that's helpful to me. And there's another great person in my life that I didn't mention in the previous episode. I was just really distraught. His name is Joe, and I'm not sure if he wants his last name out there, but he was also a person in the game I used to know that I played before that Counter-Strike game I mentioned. And he and his family have been very supportive, shown love for him, always giving messages, say, he called us his uncles, and always wished, happy holidays and birthdays and well wishes to us. And, I talked to him, and he's been supportive. I talked to him on Skype, actually saw his family and everything. And, I owe a lot of thank you and gratitude and love to his family, his mother and his father and himself, for who they are to us and who they are to me now. There's some other people I failed to mention that were online that I also met in the new game I play. One of them is Landon, and I guess he's okay with his last name, Landon Hurt. He was a good friend to me, good friend of my brother, but something happened and I guess he got busy with life and stopped talking, so we kind of stopped talking altogether. But when he saw the video, he put a supportive comment up on there, and I mean to answer that, Landon, and thank you for your support. All is forgiven. Phil wanted me to be a forgiving person, and I was a forgiving person. And we have to understand that people are busy, that they can't contact you throughout their whole life. You know, some tragedies might have happened or something, and we have to understand everybody deserves a second chance, you know, to show themselves, you know, that they're still who they are. And I thank you for your kind words, Landon. And now to people online that I forgot to mention, I think I need to actually check for a few of these. There is a person that I've been talking to on a voice chat system called Discord. His name is Prigo. I think he was one of the first people on that voice chat to hear about it. Prigo. Anyways, my heart goes out to the support. My heart goes out to you for the support you've given me and the wise words, and you've told me and tried to help me, you know, with and through this. So I thank you for that, Prigo. I'll give you a link to this video. It means a lot to me, and my brother would be thankful too. Let me get a few more people's names that I have forgotten. Dovakin. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. Dovaakhin. He was there when this was sick. He was trying his best to look up stuff to try to help my brother feel better. And I thank you for your kind love and support for my brother. And after he found out what happened, you know, he was very helpful in the game. And I thank him for that. You know, I wasn't playing very well. I kept losing my characters because I was so sad and everything. He helped me. Anyways, thank you for doing your best to show true caring for my brother. To try to look up stuff to try to help him feel better. Him and I appreciate it. Mike LOL is another person. MEICKLOL was there for me. I told him about it, and he was very supportive through messaging and tried to tell me, you know, it's going to be better, even though that doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Things will get better. He was extremely supportive, and you know, I thank Mike for that. He's a good guy. It's hard to find people like these people I've been mentioning. They're the few kind, proud, and few that are left in this world. And we need more kind people like them, you know, to be in this world. Also, another person to mention is Daweasel, Daweasel, one of my friends here. I'm not sure if he wants his real name out there. I don't think he does, but he also has suffered a loss about a week ago. At the time I first told him about what happened with me, he lost his father, and my brother, if you were here, would send his true and kindest condolences, as well as me sending our heart out to you through your loss and your hard times. We're so sorry for your loss, and as you have been here for me, and my brother would thank you for that. I'm here for you if you ever need anything. If you ever feel it's too much to handle, get in contact with me, you know how. And I thank you for being there to contact me. Also, another person who suffered a loss, I'm not sure how long ago it was, maybe a year ago, was another person in the game. His name is Poigneur. If I'm mispronouncing, excuse me, it's a French name, Poigneur. And he lost his brother also. And I'm sorry for your losses as well. He was very close. If I'm giving too much personal information away, I apologize, but he visits him every week at the grave, and that shows you how close they were. And I'm sorry, so sorry for your loss. You know, you shouldn't have to lose your best friend / brother like that. And he's also been supportive to me, and I thank him for that. Thank you for your kind words and your caring and everything. If I'm forgetting anybody, there's this random person, and I'll give a link to him as well, but he just messaged me in the game randomly and said, "Hi, how are you doing?" And I told him, you know, do you want the truth or the sugar-coated version? And he said the truth, because I'm going to tell you the truth too. And it's like we met through some odd reason too, because I told him I suffered a loss after he told me to go first, and he said he suffered a loss too. I think it was his brother or maybe his mother or something, and my heart goes out to you for your loss as well. And we connected and added each other's friends in the game and have been there to support each other, ask how each other's doing, and I thank you for that. I think his name is ORYXINGOD, Orcs in God. There's a boss in the game called Orcs, and he's been supportive And I'm trying to think of anybody I might be missing. Oh, my whole guild. There's a guild, a bunch of groups of people that can meet, together and play together in the game. When I came online and they found out what happened, every single one of them were supportive and wished me the best, told me that maybe the game would distract me from my sadness, and were there to support me, help me out, and gave me kind words and said sorry for my loss. So every single one of you guys are the best, and you've been there for me. I've been in the guild for about 2 years now, and they're like family to me. They're our family to me. And thank you for your support and your kind words. Different people that left messages, I wouldn't want to mention every single one of them, but all of them have been supportive through messaging and messages personally to me and everything, and I thank them for that. So I think I've rambled on for long enough. Not really rambling, I'm just putting my thoughts out there about my brother and who he was to me, and thanking everybody. Again, if I forgot anybody, I didn't mean to. It's just that this is so fresh for me. It was 10 days ago or so, maybe 11. So once again, I thank you all the followers for watching the show, for being supportive of him. He appreciates you. Thank you for watching the Phil Taylor Jones show. In this crazy world, as he used to say when he ended the show, that gets crazier every minute. Try to maintain an air of peace and happiness and a smile on your face as a shrine and a contradiction to all the sadness and evilness that's out there. So try to remain safe. It's the weekend now, so try to have yourself a good weekend. I'm trying to remember, was there other things that he used to say? As he usually ended the show, dump the hate and increase the peace. Thank you for watching the Phil Taylor Jones show. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.